Hey everybody, it's Dr. Jason.
Dr. Randy.
And we know you're not able to attend our Better Results Faster live in person, so we recorded this video for you to really help you get the most out of your care in this office. We talk about it in the office, but this is a done with you process, not a done for you process. So it's really important you take some of this information and start to put it into action, and that's really what the class is going to give you, some things you can do to really get the most out of your care and really get the best results in the shortest amount of time.
So as you're watching the video, we do have some questions that we do want you to answer. So go ahead and answer those, and then you can submit those right back to us. If you're unable to do that, you can just write them down and bring them in for us as well. Also, there's going to be two other sheets we'll give you. One is on some bad habits. So some things that you're going to want to start to change. So like Dr. Jason said, that you can, get the most out of your care here in the office and heal as quick as possible. So pick one or two of those. You can let us know on your next visit. Also some exercises you can run through as well. Let us know if you have any problems with that. Otherwise, enjoy the video, and then we'll talk to you when you come back in the office.
Hey everyone, it's Dr. Jason from Live Well Chiropractic. What I want to do today is Dr. Randy and I are going to take you through our Better Results Faster class. So I'm going to start with the first part of the presentation, and then Dr. Randy's going to jump in a little bit here. We have some really great information for you guys, so I hope you really get a lot out of this, really start to change your way of thinking. So I'm going to jump right into things here. This is obviously Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein was teaching a course one time, and he was teaching his students, and it came time for the test. So he handed out the test to the class, and the students started taking the test. And one of the students raised their hands, and they said, Professor Einstein, this is the same test that you gave us last year during this class. And Professor Einstein said, yes, this is the same test, but it's been a full year. We've learned more information. We know more information, so I expect different answers. And that's what I hope this class is for you guys. The questions that we have: how do I stay healthy? How do I keep my family healthy? What's the best thing to do to really keep my body functioning and working like it's supposed to? Those are the same questions. But what we've been doing to this point hasn't been working, so we need different answers to those questions. And I hope through this class you get some new answers, get some new information that starts to change the way you start to look at some of those questions. So. Like I said earlier, I am Dr. Jason. This is my family. This is why I do what I do. When I first got into chiropractic, I got into it because I was looking for a profession. I was looking for a job. And health interests me, so I started to look at chiropractic. And the more I've gotten into chiropractic, the more patients I've treated, the more I work with my kids and my family, I've started to see some really amazing results, not just neck and back pain, but we really started to see lives change and health really change, and really start to see just some awesome stuff with families. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my buddy Jack. Jack came into the office. He was 5 years old, was really struggling with immune issues and sinus and allergy issues. His mom would check her weather app on her phone, and if the pollen count was going to be medium to high, she was keeping Jack inside. She wasn't letting him go outside because she knew if she did, it was going to turn into a sinus infection, which meant antibiotics and a trip to the doctor, and it was just this continuing circle of the same thing over and over again. So any of you out there who have kids know how hard it can be to keep them inside on nice days, especially when they can't see, you can't see pollen, you can't see something like that. So to Jack, it was just a beautiful day outside. He wanted to go outside and play, and it was breaking his mom's heart. She was so frustrated with not letting him, being able not to let him go outside. I'm sure you can imagine trying to keep your kids reined back, keep them inside on beautiful days, and just how frustrating that would be. So Jack came in, really started through this process. We took him through some of the stuff I'm going to talk about today, and really saw some amazing effects with Jack. He went a full year without a sick visit to the pediatrician, was able to get over colds and allergies on his own without medication or intervention. And his mom even noticed some positive behavioral effects, which is, for anyone with kids, any positive behavioral changes is a great thing. So, so one day Jack's mom came into the office and gave me a hug, and was really excited, was just through the roof that Jack had been able to play outside. And for anyone else, that might have just seemed like a normal thing. But for Jack, that was a huge thing. And from that moment on, that's when chiropractic became more than a profession to me. It became a mission, something I wanted to do to help more people, help more families achieve those same type of health goals. So as we get through this, hopefully as you get through this process, as you're watching this, you've started this process of chiropractic care in the office, that you can start to see some of those really positive results and help us with our mission of getting the word out to more people about what we do. So I'm going to tell you a story about Vicky. Vicky is a practice member of ours. When she came in, Vicky was really experiencing some difficulties. You could see when she pulled up to the office, her husband had to help her get out of the car. And Vicky was only in her 40s, so we're not talking about some 80, 90-year-old woman who needed help out of her car. We're talking about a 40-year-old who needed help getting out of the car, needed help walking into the office. Vicky liked to go to amusement parks and ride roller coasters and do that stuff, but she wasn't able to do that. So when we sat down and talked with Vicky, she was really frustrated. She'd been through the gamut. She had MRIs and x-rays, and she had injections, and had spinal surgery. She had surgery to remove bone from her back, which helped for a while, but it didn't really relieve her symptoms. Her symptoms started to come back again. So Vicky went through this process with us, started with care. We did some nervous system scans on Vicky that showed a lot of subluxation or irritation on her nervous system in that low back. She also showed a lot of color up into her upper part of the neck, which controls things like sinuses and headaches. And Vicky was suffering with some really severe migraines to the point where she was ending up in the emergency room multiple times to get medications to help with her migraine. So through care, and really early on in care, 3 months into care, Vicky noticed some really amazing results. She noticed that she wasn't going to the emergency room for headaches. She wasn't having headaches anymore. She was also doing much better with her low back, to the point that she started back to the gym and was exercising again, and stopped the injections that she was doing. She also was having some really severe diabetes issues, and through that first 3 months started to see her hemoglobin A1C, which is a marker that controls blood sugar, drop from 13 to 6.3. So saw some really amazing changes, and it wasn't just what we were doing in the office, it was things Vicky was doing outside of the office that was really making some big changes. One thing I like to say in this office is it's not a done for you process, it's a done with you process. So what does that mean? It means I can't do everything for you. You have to be an active participant in this process. You have to take charge and make some changes to really continue this healing process. And so I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who'd like to have those same results as what Vicky was having. And that's what we want to take you through with this next part of the presentation, is how can you get those results? What can you do through this process to be an active participant and really make some of those positive changes so you can get the best results in the shortest amount of time? So what I want to do is, a lot of people go through these classes, they get a lot of great information, and they think, man, that's really great information, but they don't take any action at the end. So at the end, we're going to have a really special offer for you so you can continue your health journey and really make those goals that you set out achievable and really reach those goals, but also have a special offer for your family as well too, so that maybe you have somebody else or know somebody else who should hear this information, and that way it's available to them as well too. So at the end of the presentation, Dr. Randy will go over that special offer for you. So first question I always ask everybody during this class is, are Americans healthy? And I've asked it hundreds of times and I get the same answer, but I'll ask it anyway. So are Americans healthy? And the simple answer is no, and there's a lot of statistics that back that information up. The United States takes 75% of the prescription drugs, so that's 3/4 of the world's prescription drugs are consumed in the United States. And I think we're about 7 or 10% of the population, so we are a small portion of the population, but we take a huge amount of the world's prescription medications. We're also spending a huge amount of money on healthcare. We spend $2 trillion a year on healthcare, And most of that is treating chronic diseases like back pain and neck pain and heart disease and diabetes. So things that just continue to build and brew. And really right now what we're seeing, the best thing our money gets us is medications, wait and see, or surgeries. And really those are not the best options for a lot of those things. So what we're seeing is we need to look into different directions. If prescription drugs and medications and throwing trillions of dollars at health was the way, you would think the United States would be one of the healthiest nations there is. And the truth about it, that's not the case. They've done studies on the 40 most industrialized nations. And for me, when I started to look at this article, I was like, man, if we have to be at least top 5. And I get to the top 5 and we're nowhere to be found. Well, then we're definitely top 10. When the U.S. is definitely top 10. I get to the top 10, still nowhere to be found. I had to go clear down to 38 out of the top 40 industrialized nations to see where the United States was ranked in health. So what that tells me is what we're currently doing is failing. Our current model of healthcare is failing. We're throwing huge amounts of medications, huge amounts of money at health, but we're not seeing results. We're seeing continued increase in rates of obesity, of heart disease, of cancer, asthma, infertility, diabetes, autoimmune, arthritis. As I go through that list, you can probably think of at least one person, if not a handful of people who have at least one of those things, if not more than one of those things. So what that tells us is what we're currently doing is failing. The current model of healthcare that we're using isn't working. We need to look at things in a different way. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over again expecting different results. So again, for those of you who have kids, so if you have kids, this is a crazy statistic to think of, but people have never been sicker. For the first time in the history of man, children born after the year 2000 are not expected to live as long as their parents. And this comes from the Center for Disease Control in 2009. So each generation is expected to have a longer lifespan than their parents. We're starting to see that trend the other direction because of what we just talked about. We're seeing more and more of these types of diseases in younger and younger generations. We're seeing kids with obesity, seeing cancers skyrocket in kids, asthma, autism, diabetes in younger and younger kids. We're seeing all these health problems start much sooner. So we're seeing this downward spiral of health. And we really need to look at things in a different way and make some changes to this. So when you start to look at 75% of the world's prescription drugs or $2 trillion, you start to think, well, how can I have an effect on that? And I always say it starts with us. It starts with me. It starts with you and spreads to your family. I talk about the ripple in the pond. You know, when you throw a stone in the pond, you see that ripple spread the whole way across the pond. And that's the way we need to treat health. We need to treat healthcare that same way and start a new ripple, start a new effect, start to change the way people look at it. So it starts with you and it spreads to your family and your friends and your neighbors and start that ripple of change in health so that we can see those trends. We can see kids' health start to improve and not continue that decline like we've seen to this point as well. So the next question I always ask when you're watching this video is, are you as healthy as you want to be? Or is your family as healthy as you want them to be? And most of the time, if you're watching this video, the answer to that question is, no, you're not. There's some health problem, health issue that's brought you in to this point in your care. So what we need to look at then is 3 reasons why we are in a healthcare crisis in this country. Why is the United States only ranked 38th out of 40? Why are we not higher on that list? So number 1 is personal responsibility or wrong choices. You know, we are responsible for what we put into our body, what we do with our body. Every action, everything we do, everything we think has an impact on our health. Whether it's putting food into our body, whether it's having negative thoughts or positive thoughts, or whether it's being sedentary and not exercising, or whether it's exercising and keeping our body healthy. All of these choices are in our control, and we control so much of our health. We want to say, well, it's the doctor, or it's my genes, or it's my family had this, so I'm going to have this. And we have so much control over our health that we don't even realize how much control we really do have. So, number three, we didn't forget. Dr. Randy's going to talk about number 3 towards the end of the presentation. He'll make sure to cover that with you as well too. Number two is the wrong definition of health. So how do we know if we're healthy? The most common answer I get is, if I feel good, I'm healthy. And the question I always ask is, what does heart disease feel like? Most of the time you don't realize you have heart disease until what? It's too late in the process. What does cancer feel like? Same thing. Most of the time you don't know you have cancer until it's really late in the process. So we can't just wait and judge our health on how we feel. We need to look at health as a global thing of how we feel, how we function, how our body moves and heals and recovers, not just how we're feeling. We can't wait till we feel things to determine that we're not healthy, because most of the time it's too late in the process, and those disease processes or those problems have really been brewing for a long time before that. So, this is a great study that was done on sitting down and standing up, and what they did is studied 2,000 people between the ages of 51 and 80, and what they had them do was sit down Indian style or crisscross applesauce on the floor, and they had them stand up and then sit back down the same way. And for every point of contact, meaning if you had to put your hand on the floor to push yourself up, or you had to put your hand on your knees to push yourself up, or you had to put two hands on your knees to push yourself up, and the same sitting back down, it subtracted from your score. So they scored people out of 10, and what they found was people who scored fewer than 8 were twice as likely to die within the next 6 years. So what does that tell us? It tells us how our body functions, how our body moves, plays a huge role and can be a huge predictor of how healthy our body is. So this isn't just about how we're feeling, this is about how our body's moving and functioning and working. So what do we see in our office? We see people who come in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s who may not be functioning the way they want to, but through care and through chiropractic care and through nutritional changes, through exercises, we start to see them really change not just how they're feeling, but how their body's functioning. We hear people in the office say all the time, I haven't been able to do that in years, or I haven't been able to have this much energy in years, or I haven't done such and such in years. And that's not because they just are feeling better, it's because their body's functioning and working better. And that's really what we want to get through this process. Is obviously we want to get you feeling better, but we want to get your body functioning, working, healing like it should be as well too. So the next part of the process, Dr. Randy's going to take you through 7 questions that you have to ask if you want to be healthy. So 6 of those things impact your health, and 1 of those things control your health. So which of those do you think is most important? Yeah, absolutely, the one that controls your health. So here's Dr. Randy. He's going to take you through those 7 things.
So Dr. Jason just went over some of the good reasons why we find ourselves in a healthcare crisis. What I want to do is really go over the 7 questions you have to ask yourself if you want to be healthy. So first question I have is, are we designed to be healthy, or are we designed to be sick? Well, the answer to that, yeah, is we're designed to be healthy. So we have all these different organ systems, like the digestive systems, our muscle, our skin, the lymphatic system, our endocrine system, nervous system, skeletal system, male and female reproductive system, respiratory system, urinary system, and also our circulatory system. So each one of those have a specific job, and collectively they all work together to keep us healthy. So how important is it that we really take care of those systems in our body? It's very important. Second question is your body smart, or is your body stupid? Yeah, it's smart. So what I did is I put 3 examples, just ways to show you how smart our body is. So the first one shows someone that cut their arm here, and what we see is at no point during that reaction do you have to think for any of those processes to occur. So when you cut yourself, your skin breaks open a little bit, and then you start to bleed, and then your body controls that bleeding. It wants to slow it so the blood thickens. It starts to scab over after a few days, and then that skin grows back. So at no point was that Band-Aid responsible for any of the healing process, right? It just was keeping some bacteria and some dirt out of there. So it's a really cool reaction that happens a lot, but you never really think of the process of why it happens. The next one is showing someone shivering. So why do we shiver? Well, when we're cold, our body wants to increase our internal temperature. So what it's going to do, it's going to trigger some muscles to start contracting really fast. And it's doing that because when muscles contract, they release heat. So at no point during that reaction did you have to think, all right, I got to contract these muscles at these rate. Your body really controls and handles all that.
The third one is showing a temperature or a fever. So a lot of times we get a fever, we want to suppress that fever or bring it down by taking medication. But in all reality is you want to let that fever run its course. That's your body really heating its internal environment to get rid of any of the viruses or anything that might be attacking it. So it really wants to heat it up, just like we heat up food to kill off any of the bacteria. Your body's doing the same thing. So you never want to suppress that unless it gets, to dangerously high levels. If it's still at 100, 101, you're fine. Just keep an eye on it. Let the body really control what it's meant to control. Question number 3 is, what is the most important system in your body for staying healthy? Well, the answer to that is your nervous system. So our nervous system is our master system. It controls every cell, every organ, every tissue, every muscle in your body. So if you see the picture here, the nervous system is really your brain, your spinal cord, and all of the nerves that go to every part of your body. So you can see all the vital organs it's responsible for. So if that nervous system is in control of the nerve going to your heart, and that nervous system is not functioning properly, things we can see are things like elevated blood pressure. So your nervous system is always in control of this. It's sending hundreds of thousands and millions of signals every second to really keep the body functioning the way it was designed to. So make sure you take care of that nervous system. Question number 4, is your life stressful? I've never heard a no. So the answer to that is absolutely, our life is stressful. So first example of one of the big stressors we see is that mental emotional stress, and that's just dealing with everyday life, crazy busy schedules, dealing with family, dealing with work, and sometimes television can trigger a stress response, right? Just watching the news, they never tell you anything good, so all that bad news does create that stress response that affects your body. The second example of stress is a chemical stress. So chemical stress has that same effect on your nerves, right? So we look at things like our environmental factors, our air, our water. If that is dangerous, then yeah, that's going to affect your health. We look at different chemicals we clean our households with. We look at medication. So medication has effects or side effects to it, right? So there's a reason why a lot of the medication is behind the counter, or the pharmacy or your doctor has to prescribe it, because it's dangerous for anyone to take. So we can never underestimate, just taking medication, is it just creating health, but there's also effects to that as well. We look at food, right? So artificial foods, fast foods, they're processed. They have a lot of chemicals in them and preservatives that our body reacts to, and not in a good way, but a bad way. We look at things like artificial sugars and sweeteners. Again, they're neurotoxins, and that plays a big role on your nervous system. We look at also different things as far as the fast food. If you ever have time, look at the video where someone took a tray of McDonald's and they had a hamburger, French fries, and a chicken nuggets. And what they did is they took a picture of it after the first day. They took a picture of it after the first week, first month, 6 months, a year. And the funny thing is, it didn't really change after a year because there's so much garbage in that food that even the bacteria didn't want it. So try to limit or stay away from fast food as much as you can. The third stress is physical stress. And physical stress can be anything like sports injuries, car accidents. Some of our sleeping postures are terrible that can create a lot of stress to our body. We look at our posture as far as our head positioning. So what they say is for every inch that your head goes forward adds 10 pounds of weight to your skull. So if you're someone walking around with 3 inches of forward head carriage, now all of a sudden your muscles are carrying an extra 30 pounds in the back of your neck and your upper back. And what that's going to do, that's going to start to get sore. It's going to trigger some headaches. So it's very important to keep that upright posture. The other one is even the birthing process itself. So the birthing process is very traumatic. There's a lot of pulling, a lot of twisting that can subluxate those upper cervical C1, C2 areas of babies. So some of you might be coming in the office and you see some newborns coming in, and that's because their parents understand the importance of your baby's health right off the start. So what they want to do is bring their babies in and get them checked immediately to make sure they're clear of subluxation so they can live their healthy life. So one of the things with these stressors, it's not just 1 or 2 of those areas, right? It's the collective accumulation of those stressors over our lifetime of just years and years of not eating the right foods, of worrying about things and just not taking care of our bodies. So it's not just 1 or 2 things. So just remember, it's all of those things we've done throughout our years that create that stress and put that subluxation on that nervous system. The question number 5 is, what is all that stress doing to your body? So I kind of just touched on that, but that stress is causing those subluxations. So what we see is those joints get misaligned. That can create some soft tissue damage. That causes swelling or inflammation within the body. That can cause those muscles to really tighten up or spasm around those areas to really try to protect too much movement in those areas. We also see a stress response where it can elevate blood pressure and heart rate. So again, that's a huge impact on your health and your nervous system. And what happens is our nervous system can control certain amounts of stress, but eventually all of that stress does accumulate, just like water in a glass, where it can take a drop or 2 or 3 or 100, but eventually that water is going to spill over. Well, the same thing happens with your nervous system, where it's handling as much as it can, and then eventually it starts to break down, and that's where we see symptoms show up. So it's almost like a fuse box too. Subluxation does cause those health problems. So Dr. Jason went over a few of these health problems that we're seeing such a rise in to this day. So what we see is we see people suffering from headaches, you know, and some of them downplay headaches, saying, oh, I just get regular headaches. Well, there's no such thing as a regular headache. You either get them or you don't. Again, it's a warning sign, your body telling you something isn't right. We look at pain, we look at blood pressure issues, allergies, things like depression, anxiety, even digestive issues and reproductive issues are all caused by these subluxations. Some research they're starting to do now on chiropractic is starting to show that it lowers blood pressure. So what we see is that top C1, C2 area, when that subluxates, that can create an elevated blood pressure. So what we want to do is try to relieve tension, open up that blood flow throughout the body to bring those numbers down naturally, because your body does know how to regulate that. We look at immune system. So how many of you knew that chiropractic stimulates and boosts your immune system? So what we try to do is, if you ever try to call and cancel because you're sick, we're going to try to encourage you to get in the office, because that's really when your body needs that adjustment in order to fight off whatever you have, or if you're healthy, we want to keep you healthy. So we're not going to let you cancel unless it's absolutely necessary. Chiropractic saves you money. So a study out of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois actually did I think it was a 5-year study on patients who had a chiropractor as their primary care doctor. And what they found out was people weren't going to the hospital as much. They were not spending as much money, which again was bringing down the national average of healthcare. So what we see now, healthcare costs are through the roof. And what we're finding out is, you know, you get sick, you go to the hospital, they run 101 tests on you, all to tell you that, you know, they don't know what's going on. So what we want to do is not try to rush to the hospital every time we're sick, but if we can really control our health, and that's what the chiropractic adjustments are very good at, we see that that affects the overall cost of healthcare. Also, we talk about independence, right? So as we get older, we want to keep being active. We want to do everything that we work so hard to be able to do. What you don't want to see is your body starting to shut down, to where you finally retire and you're unable to, you know, go travel, to go visit your grandkids, or, you know, walk around Disney or whatever it might be. So a good example of this is if you had two 70-year-old people next to each other, you know, one might be active, or they still might be jogging, they might be playing with their grandkids, playing baseball, whatever it might be, while the other person might be struggling to put on their shoes, or might have to think for 3 seconds to step off a curb so they don't fall over. And the big part of that is, you know, it's really how you take care of your health now, which impacts your future. We look at other things that chiropractic helps out with. So it helps out with infantile colic. We see asthma really respond well to the chiropractic adjustment. Ulcers and stomach lining healing a lot sooner. Relief of PMS symptoms. Also, mental emotional stress and well-being is improved. So the cool thing about the adjustment, it also releases endorphins, just like exercises, where you just feel good naturally right afterwards. They're also starting to do some research on addiction recovery, as well as depression and anxiety. So question number 6 is, how is your immune system functioning? Well, in order to figure out how it's functioning, you got to get it tested, right? Just like your blood pressure and cholesterol, you don't know it's a problem until you get it tested and you see those elevated numbers. So when you came in the office, you probably saw the tests we were doing. We were very thorough with those tests. So one of the first tests we did is we checked your posture. Why? Because the posture is your window to your spine, and your spine protects your nervous system. So what we can tell is if your posture is off, if your shoulders are high or hips are high, where that might be putting pressure on your nervous system, causing some of your symptoms. The other thing we did is we did those digital scans on you. Those scans are meant to detect those subluxations within your body, but also tell us how severe those subluxations are, which really lets us know how long those areas take for the body to heal. The other thing we did is we looked at your scales. So we had you stand on 2 scales, really to see how your body's distributing weight. So it would make sense if you were 100 pounds that each scale would be 50-50, right? But in reality, we see people shifting weight from side to side for numerous reasons. It might be injuries they've had to certain areas of the body, or it might be their posture just pulling them more to one side. So what we can see is if someone stands on a scale and there's 60 pounds on the left and 40 pounds on the right, well, that left side, we might see some issues with knees and hips and even things like neck and shoulder pain too. So what we want to try to do is get that balanced out so that your body is distributing that pressure evenly. Question number 7 is, what should we do to correct the problems with our nervous system? So you got to take action to do that, right? So one of the things that we do here in the office is we talk about our 4-legged stool of results. So if I put a chair out in front of you with 4 legs on it and I took one of them away, well, that chair wouldn't balance correctly. And the same thing goes with your treatment is each one of these is equal to get you healthy. So the first one we talk about is the adjustment itself. So the adjustment is correcting the subluxation, taking pressure off of that nervous system. So the adjustments are designed to be in a rhythm. So what we ask you to do is you don't miss, you don't cancel your appointments, because that disrupts the body's healing rhythm. So if you do ever have to miss or cancel, we do try to get you to make that up within 24 hours. That way your body continues that healing rhythm. The other thing is bad habits. So we're going to attach a sheet to this that's going to have a list of bad habits on there. Again, bad habits are promoting those subluxation patterns, and that's what's causing that breakdown in your nervous system. So one of the things we talk about is you can't hit yourself in the thumb with a hammer every single day and expect your thumb to heal, right? Well, the same thing goes with your body. Is if we're not drinking enough water, we're not exercising, we're having bad posture, unless we correct that and improve it, your body's not going to heal as quick as it should. So what I challenge you to do is pick 1 or 2 of those and work on those for a few weeks. If it's getting more sleep, drinking more water, you don't have to pick all of them to do it once, but just focus on 1 or 2 of those, and really week by week, we can really see how your body's improving. Third one is exercises. So again, with exercises, motion is lotion. Your joints need to move to stay healthy. So what I will do is I'm going to attach a sheet that will also have some exercises on it. I will go over a few of those here in a minute to show you, the importance of those exercises. And then the 4th one is nutrition. So really what we feed our body plays a big role in the healing process. So if you feed your body bad food, it's going to heal very slowly. If you feed it really good food, then it's going to heal a lot faster. So what we want to do is really focus on each one of these things, because collectively they're designed to keep us healthy. When you came in, we also went over our stages of care. So again, these stages of care are very important for your healing process. So what this does, it kind of breaks down that 3-year healing process. So the first phase, which is right here, is our initial intensive care phase. So that's the most important, because that's really designed to stop the damage that's been building up within your body and your nervous system for all those years and really start that healing process. So again, that rhythm of adjustments is designed specifically to get you healing as quick as possible. During that phase, we have built-in progress exams that we're going to do to really track and see how your body's healing, to see if we have to focus on any different areas to adjust you or change your schedule. So again, that really tracks your progress here in the office. Once we get done with that initial intensive care, which was the first 6 months, the next 6 months is more of our corrective care. And this is really designed to strengthen, stabilize those muscles really surrounding your nervous system, so you can do more without hurting, and you can push your body without really it breaking down every time you have to go out there and do yard work or undergo a very, very stressful situation in your life. So we don't want you regressing. So that's really designed during that corrective care to make you hold your adjustments longer. Once we get through that, the next year of care is more of our wellness care. And this is almost like a maintenance care where you're feeling really good and you want to continue feeling good and you don't want to lose all of that health you've gained to this point. So each one of those stages is very specific for you meeting your goals. Now, going over the exercises, I picked 3 exercises to really focus on. The first one is neck extension. So I picked that exercise because we're always flexing forward. We're always looking down at our phones or computers or TV. So what we want to do is actually bring the body back in its mirror image position, which is extension. So extension is very easy. So what you do is you're going to stand nice and straight and you're going to look up at the ceiling, hold for about 5 seconds, and then you're going to release. So what I always recommend doing is 10 of those a day. Build your way up to where you're doing about 3 sets of 10. The second exercise is wall angels. So what you want to do is find a flat wall in your house. And what you're going to do is you're going to get your butt up against the wall, your elbows, and then you're going to bring your hands back. And this is going to be tough because your body's going to want to pull forward because all these muscles got so tight for that flex, because of that flex position. So what we really want to do is get in there and stretch those out. So this is tough, so you want to really build your way up to this one. So really work on getting the butt, the shoulder blades, the elbows against the wall. When that's easy, you want to work on bringing your hands back to where they're going to touch the wall as well. So if it's tough, just work on bringing it back as far as you can week by week. When that gets easy, then you're going to work on going up and down, all while keeping your shoulder blades, your elbows, and your hands up against the wall. And it's much like a snow angel when you were a kid. Third exercise is a bridge exercise. This is phenomenal for lower back pain. So what this is really good at doing is strengthening your core, which supports that lower back, but also activating your glute muscles and deactivating your hamstrings. So whenever you do this exercise, you're laying on your back, you're going to put your palms face down, you're going to tighten your stomach, and then you're going to lift your butt up off the floor. Now during this, what you're focusing on is really squeezing those glute or those butt muscles and trying to keep the hamstrings relaxed. So if you feel cramping in your hamstrings, that's because your brain's engaging those muscles instead of the glutes. So what you really want to do is focus on squeezing those muscles. Again, do 10 of those. You want to hold up to 30 seconds. At first, you might only be able to do it for 5 seconds. So build your way up to that. Do 10 of those, and again, build your way up to 3 sets of 10. Other things we want to focus on doing is drinking more water. So a lot of us just don't drink enough water. And again, that can create those subluxations that we talk about. So you look at how much of your body is dependent on water. Your brain is 80% water. Your lungs are 90%. Your eyes are 95%. Your heart is 75%. You can read those. So what we want to do is try to increase our water intake. So the generic formula to that is for every pound you weigh, you want to drink about an ounce of water. So if you weigh, about half your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 100 pounds, you want to drink 50 ounces. If you're doing any activity, you want to build your way up to drinking more because you're going to sweat and lose a lot of those fluids. Some of our chemical support for those subluxations, again, has to deal with what we're eating, right? So we want to stay away from the carbonated drinks, the refined sugars, artificial sweeteners and colors. So watch some of the dyes that are in foods. Stay away from processed or fast foods. And then we want to eat more fruits and vegetables. We want to eat more organic, lean protein, more omega-3 fatty acids. And again, we want to really drink more water to keep us healthy. What we did here at Live Well, we put together our 5 core essential nutrients that we think everyone could benefit from. Even if you're healthy, you would really do a lot better by taking these. So the first one is apple cider vinegar. I know it has a strong taste, but it's very good for our health. So really some of the things it does is it really supercharges your digestive system. It helps regulate pH levels within the body, as well as decreasing inflammation and bloating sensation. The other one is a multivitamin. So we think everyone needs a multivitamin because we're not eating enough of the right stuff in our diet. So this is going to help supplement that and bring more of those nutrients into your body so it heals a lot quicker. It also has some probiotics and some digestive enzymes mixed in with it too. The third one is krill oil, and that's the omega-3 fatty acid that we recommend. So again, with omega-3s, really it's helpful for inflammation. It's really good for brain health, for your skin, really helps your heart and blood vessels too. The next one is vitamin D. So vitamin D we get from sunshine. So we don't get much sunshine from Labor Day to Memorial Day. So it's very important that everyone supplements that vitamin D in their diet during those fall, winter, and even the beginning of spring months until we really can get out and get that sunshine. So with our vitamin D, it's in a liquid form. It's mixed in with vitamin K so your body absorbs it better. So what we do recommend with that is doing about 5 to 7 drops throughout those fall, winter, spring months too. The next one to talk about is a probiotic. So did you know that most of your immune system is located inside your intestines? So much like vitamin D helps your immune system, the probiotic does the exact same thing. So as 60% of that immune system is located in your digestive system, we want to make sure we take care of that. So the probiotic is a good bacteria that really helps the immune system and that digestive system thrive. Next thing I want to talk about is, we all heard about Vicky's success story. The next one is Taylor. Taylor was a young girl that came in the office that was struggling with some behavioral issues. So her mom sat down, really let me know that she was diagnosed with ADHD about 2 years prior to coming in. And also she took medication for that, but Taylor did not like the way that medication made her feel. She noticed some behavior issues in school where, she was getting in trouble and not paying attention, standing up during class. That was, bringing notes home and causing the mother to receive phone calls from the teacher. And it's not like she was a bad kid. She just, had trouble sitting still. Had trouble with sleep issues where she would wake up during the night and move around through the house. She also suffered from asthma, as well as some social relationship issues where she didn't have many friends. The really cool thing about Taylor is we put her on a really good plan where she was getting adjusted. She was taking nutritional products to help with her behavior, but she was also on a strict diet. So her mom and herself, they did a very good job at regulating what's going in her body. So staying away from sugars, certain artificial coloring and dyes that really cause hyperactivity. And also whenever she was getting adjusted, she made her appointments. She didn't miss. So that got her body in that healing rhythm. So the cool thing that we noticed into her care 3 months after she was completed through her initial intensive care, we sat down and did the whole re-exam and discussed with mom how things were going. And what we found out is she was off her ADHD medication. She had better behavior in school. So mom wasn't getting any phone calls or letters from the teacher saying she's been disruptive. She was sleeping better, sleeping through the night. Her asthma was not bad, so she could go out and play without coming in and being wheezy and all stuffy in the nose. She also made honor roll. So what we noticed is as she was behaving better, she was learning more, and she was able to really show that reflect in her grades. And actually, she's made honor roll about the last 3 times too, so she's doing awesome. The other thing that was really cool is she joined cheerleading. So, here you had this kid 3 months ago that was socially, awkward around people and didn't like or didn't have many friends. And then all of a sudden goes out there and does a complete 180 and wants to join cheerleading and be active and have friends. So these are some of the success stories that we see in children all the time. So that's why you might see a lot of kids coming in the office. It's not necessarily for neck pain or back pain, but different things that their parents want them to really improve in their life too. So Dr. Jason covered those first 2 reasons why we're in a healthcare crisis. And here's the third one. This is probably the most important, and it's procrastination. So many of us out there wait too long to get our health checked, right? So we think our problems are going to go away in a day, a week, a month, and next thing you know, it's 5 years and you're in the doctor's office and you're expecting immediate results. Well, that's not typical, right? So what we want to do is really pay attention to our health. We want to figure out if we have any symptoms, that we get those checked to find out exactly what's going on, because what we know, the longer a condition goes on, the harder it is to fix and the more intensive that treatment can be. So we never want to procrastinate our health. I mean, we get one crack at it and that's all it is. So we really want to make sure we're taking care of our health. One of the other things we like to do here in the office, when you first came in, we give you a packet that will include getting your family members checked for free for the first 30 days, which is awesome. And I recommend that for everyone, because again, we don't know we have subluxations till we get them checked. By the time the symptoms show up, it's really late stage in a process. So the earlier we can find them, detect them, and correct them, the healthier their lives are going to be. So the other thing we like to do is extend that out. We like to tell people if they have any friends, any neighbors, any people they work with or go to church with that they know are just struggling with their health, that they don't have to struggle, right? So what they want to do is they want to figure out what's going on with it. And some of them are not left with answers. They're just still trying to figure out what's going on. So one thing we do is we will extend that offer to you. So what we do today or next time you come in the office for $45, any of those people that you know can get checked. They can get checked with a consultation. They can get their nervous system scanned and checked and really figure out what the cause of their problem is. So normally that visit's $120 if you don't have insurance, but what we're able to do is discount that down to $45. And what you can do is just let us know their name next time you come in, and you can reach out, talk to them, see if that's something that they're interested in. So I think we've left you with enough information right now, things that you need to work on in order to get healthy, right? So again, looking at those bad habits, really pick one or two of those to focus on. Those exercise, start running through those, and let us know if you have any questions, any restrictions when you're doing them, because those are going to be necessary in between your appointments to really help your body continue that healing process. So any questions, just ask myself, Dr. Jason, Dr. Chris, and we'll be glad to answer. Thanks.